You expected it to be Ryan D. Leaf on the camera, didn't you? But if you've been paying attention, people, you would have heard that Ryan Leaf has hit the links out in Arizona on this lovely Friday afternoon in Southern California. I guess he's in Arizona. So in Arizona, I'm in lovely Southern California, filling in for Ryan Leaf. Welcome to the Ryan D. Leaf Show, everybody. My name is Jonathan Rifkin, filling in for the incomparable Ryan D. Leaf. No matter how you're watching or where you're watching, all of us here at the RDL Show appreciate you making us a part of your Friday afternoon plans. If you're watching it on playback, if you're listening to it elsewhere, thank you as well. We ask you to please hit that like, rate, and review. Subscribe as well on YouTube, because the more subscriptions we get, the more people we watch, or they watch us, I should say, and the more fun we have here on the show. It's Friday Fun Day, and we have a great show. Let's bring on the guys, Sky Guasco, Charlie Moss. Everybody said it was going to be the Charlie Moss show on Friday. It is not the Charlie Moss show today. But Charlie, you will get your moment in the sun, I promise you.
I'm excited for it.
Ryan isn't here, guys. Ryan isn't here. He's going to join us in about 8 minutes from the links in Arizona. The show structure is the same. Make sure you're interacting with us. Get in that comment section. Send us your comments. The Office Project is ready to go. We're ready to go, baby. We're ready to go. I got my first live play-by-play broadcast tonight for the first time in a year and 3 days. That's how excited I am.
How you feeling? You're a pro. You're a pro, Jonathan, a longtime veteran. You got the nerves rolling. Opening day. How are you feeling?
I have never had nerves before a broadcast before, and I am legitimately nervous. It's a scrimmage. It's literally a scrimmage on Friday night between like a Division 5 and a Division 6 team, or D4 and D5 team here in San Diego. And like, I don't know, all the eyes are going to be on this one because everybody's been waiting for high school sports to come back. So I don't want to let the public down, but right now we have our own mission here. Oh, Rob Burger's ready for Fun Day. Rob, by the way, we want to express our appreciation for you because you have been with us since day one. You've been a friend to the show. You've been a fan of the show. You've always brought a smile to our faces. So Rob, we definitely appreciate you. You guys need to get rid of children's mode. Can't minimize the stream. Can't close my phone. Can't choose what subscription bell type I want. We'll troubleshoot that after the show. Anyways, we got a lot to get to here in the next 56 minutes now after that lengthy introduction. A lot has happened. A couple of free agent signings, some re-signed contracts around the NFL. College basketball is hitting stride in conference tournament season. We're a couple days away now from Selection Sunday. And the countdown begins for that. And then spring games are beginning around college football and spring baseball in action as well. So we have a lot to get to. Like I said, Ryan D. Leaf, the boss man, will join us here in about 6 minutes. But I want to start with this, guys. We touched heavily and for about 20 minutes on Wednesday about Myers Leonard, right? Miami Heat forward, formerly with the Portland Trail Blazers, and the anti-Semitic slur that he used, the reverence that he said it with, the intent, right? His intent may have not been to marginalize an entire religion and group of people in this world, but that's ultimately what happened. The Miami Heat owner is Jewish. A lot of the front office is Jewish. Fans, broadcasters. And as another Jewish person in this world, I'm appalled. I'm appalled by his punishment. A slap on the wrist for saying a word that Nazis used in concentration camps as they were committing genocide to Jewish people, right? That's the word that he used. And he got a 1-week suspension and a $50,000 fine. That is unacceptable. There is not enough accountability, right? And we see it all the time with racial slurs. We see it all the time with domestic violence, right? Until there is a public outcry, the institution typically does the bare minimum. We saw it with Ray Rice. We saw it with not Tyreek Hill, who was the running back, Kareem Hunt. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I mean, all of those guys got a slap on the wrist until there was a public outcry, and that's when the institution, the NFL, backtracked and said, okay, we see that this is a big problem. It's a PR problem on top of, okay, maybe it was a messed up thing that they did. They should not be rewarded by being back in a place where hundreds of thousands of people wish that they were based on their actions. Well, Myers Leonard just got a slap on the wrist. Myers Leonard should not get a slap on the wrist. Myers Leonard should be suspended for the rest of the season. They should allow him the time that he needs to focus on himself, to understand why he did what he did, the intent behind it, and why you simply can't do it. And a slap on the wrist here basically validates those actions, right? It's basically saying you shouldn't do this, but you can, and this is all that'll happen. Instead of you can't do this, and we're going to show you why you can't do this. So to me, the message here is that this needs to be taken more seriously. There's not equality when it comes to the way that racial and anti-Semitic slurs are used by people with platforms, by anybody. Nobody should be saying those words. Nobody should be marginalizing an entire race or an entire group of people or a religion. It just doesn't matter. That's not how this society is structured, and that's not how that's not what we're meant to tolerate. And yet, a week and $50,000. That's all he got for marginalizing an entire religion and group of people with a country, right? Like, that's unacceptable. So I'm upset by the NBA and by the Miami Heat and the actions that they decide to take for Myers Leonard. But hopefully the people that have a voice in this world understand the truth, and we seek to start stomping out ignorance as we move forward here. All right. Heavy note, guys. If you have anything to add, please do it now, because it's fun day. It's Friday fun day. We're going into the weekend. Want to have some positive vibes here on the RDL show. Charlie's rubbing his fingers. He's ready. He's ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm ready to talk some football, to talk some college hoops. Love March Madness, Big Ten tournament. So I got a lot on my mind today.
Well, the Owls Project here, our faithful viewer, is going to transition us into our next conversation, because I think we're going to talk to Ryan about this here. I see him in the queue. I see Ryan in the queue. So we're going to bring on boss man Ryan, and we're going to get into some of this stuff, his thoughts on Cam Newton as the quarterback of the Pats again, Jared Goff with the Lions, maybe even Mark Ingram with the Texans. Boss man Ryan on the links. How's it going in beautiful Arizona?
Well, I think I'm going to do this for a living now. I think I'm on the Johnny Manziel 12 years to be a professional golfer track now. The RDL show now is the Charlie D show. All right, we're gonna make it that. I'm good, fellas. How are you?
Doing well.
You're great, man. I'm stuck inside and you're outside, and it's beautiful. I'm really jealous. I can't golf. I can't golf for a nut's worth, but like I want to be out there.
Hey, man, you can come caddy for me anytime you want.
I need the
I'll take it.
I might take you up on that offer one day.
Same.
All right.
We're gonna have a little RDL show thing going. So Ryan, before we get to your handicap for the day, we were about to discuss some of the new NFL stuff that's been going, and some of the viewers have some questions about Cam Newton as the quarterback of the Pats. 1 year, $14 million. What do you make of that?
Man, no way I saw that coming. I don't know what to think about that. I mean, if you watch what happened a year ago, I mean, he looked like he wasn't functional half the season. And I don't know if it was injuries or whatnot, but $14 million, maybe that's just a little payback from the Patriots for only giving him $1 million a year ago to kind of like say, hey, thanks for taking that ass whooping all year long for us. Here's a party golden parachute. I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't know what that does. No, getting Trent Brown, makes them more of a run-first team, and that's what Cam does pretty good. So maybe they're just trending in that direction. They figure if they're going to run him a lot more, you better pay him a lot more money this year.
What are the Patriots gearing up here for, though? Because Jared Stidham is obviously not the guy, or they don't feel like he's ready to be the guy. Cam is back otherwise they wouldn't have re-signed Cam Newton for $14 million for just 1 year. Are they gearing up to try and make a play at another quarterback on the market, or perhaps draft somebody?
They probably can try to draft somebody. Man, if they can get after Davis Mills, maybe in the second round or something, or his name's starting to pop up. Now he's only got 12 starts, but he's got first round talent, and he's been compared to Andrew Luck. If Bill Belichick feels something pretty good about this young man, he could get him in a steal somewhere and then place him behind Cam on a rookie contract, and who knows, he might be playing in year one. I think that guy's a stud. He's my sleeper in the draft. I don't think he's going to be a sleeper too much longer. I think I heard Daniel Jeremiah talking about him, and therefore it's going to be gospel here before we know it.
Yeah, but you should take credit. Where do you think DJ got it from, man?
I don't need credit. I don't need credit. I just need a TV show. We got that going, so we're good.
Yes, sir. All right, let's move on here from Cam Newton. Tom Brady, 4-year extension. What are your thoughts?
Essentially 2-year extension, through 2022 until he's 45 years old, studying what he wanted to do. The guy's a freak of nature, trolling everybody with the seven shirt on while he signs his contract. I like it. Going to go after 8. I mean, there's no reason for me to believe right now that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not the just far gone favorite for the NFL championship again next year. Kansas City Chiefs just cut both their all pro tackles. Mm-hmm. So that was the problem in the game, right? They couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes. Now you cut the 2 guys that didn't play in the game. So is that what we're going to see from the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward? Just, Patrick running for his life and, making freakish throws that don't get it done. I don't know, but I like what they're doing. I like the Bucs. They're going to be my favorite when the season starts. I don't know why they wouldn't be for anybody else either.
Ryan, Tom Brady's deal saves them $19 million against the cap here for 2021, moving some things around here. The Bucs are essentially bringing everybody back from the Super Bowl team last year. There's been talks about big-time free agent names, maybe some guys like James White from New England, who Tom Brady's obviously very familiar for, coming in as a pass-catching back. Leonard Fournette, probably the only one out the door there. They have O.J. Howard coming back as well. The defense is revamped. What do the Bucs actually need to go target to make this team even better?
Well, I think their first objective needs to be re-signing Shaq Barrett. I'm worried that he's going to sneak out the door there because they couldn't franchise tag him, and he's an unrestricted free agent. So that's the one I'm looking for them to sign first off, and then go out into the free agent market and do the stuff they need. But they can keep Shaq Barrett and kind of keep that whole thing in tune. Woo! Boy, they're going to be tough to beat, especially if they can sign a couple. And this is what Tom Brady's done his whole career. He's taken these team-friendly deals or adjusted stuff for cap reasons, so he knows he can get better players. I love his mindset through his career because he understands what's important, and he flat out knows it. That's winning championships.
Now, Patrick Mahomes today also renegotiated his contract. Michael Thomas did the same thing in New Orleans, trying to move some money around to better suit the team, if you will. The Chiefs just let go. As you mentioned, there's 2 stud tackles. Obviously, that was the issue in the Super Bowl, and they let it go. What do the Chiefs need to do here? Because they're a lot of fun when they're running gun, but it looks like they're starting to – maybe they're not invincible after all.
Hey, if Jimmy Garoppolo hits that pass, we're talking about a Patrick Mahomes team that has lost 2 Super Bowls. And now what does it look like? Do they keep going back? Does the AFC become – I mean, this is – it's going to be an interesting story, I think. It was bound to go for so long. Dan Marino can tell you this story. He played in a Super Bowl in his second year, never got back to another one. Luckily for Patrick, he won in year 2, and that's good enough. But I think the NFL is just going to be a hell of a lot of fun next year. I think there's a ton of teams that are going to be able to vie for it. I think some new teams. Michael Thomas having to adjust that contract. Yeah. What did we talk about the other day? I was just talking about it with my buddy. I got my college wide receiver with me down here. We haven't seen each other for a while. We're playing some golf, and he's on board with me too. You don't pay running backs. You don't pay wide receivers. You don't pay people that you can do it with a committee. You pay pass rushers, you pay left tackles, and you pay quarterbacks. And so if you're doing that, you're just wasting money, I believe. And sometimes they're fan favorites, and they maybe feel that's more important to sell tickets in the stands and things like that. But if you're going to win a championship, don't pay those guys. Don't pay them.
Ryan, one more thought talking about running backs and not paying running backs. One more move that happened early yesterday. Mark Ingram signs quickly, 1 year, $3 million with Houston Texans. Of course, they bring in David Johnson last year. Any thoughts on Mark Ingram in Houston now? Committee is one of those guys actually the starter.
I don't think that. I don't think I'm really interested in the Houston Texans. I don't think they'll do anything. I don't think they'll be part of the league next year, actually, in terms of anybody caring about them. So, yeah, Mark Ingram, go ahead. Yeah, go make some money, but I don't see what, they're irrelevant to me. The AFC South is going to be between Tennessee and Indianapolis. That's it. That's all I can think of. I don't care if Deshaun comes back and play. They're going to be awful.
Fair enough. Before we get out of here, how's the game this
Yeah,
morning
let's
so
see
far?
it. What hole are you on?
Wow.
Oh, I'm on the putting green.
Oh,
I'm about to tee off.
practicing.
Oh, just practicing.
Yeah, I'm doing a TV show in front of everybody, and they're looking at me like, "That's Ryan, isn't it? That fucking bust."
Send them the link.
B
and
word.
have
Yeah,
them
where's
We're gonna pull
The
the
B
bat.
word.
Where's the bat?
take out the golf club today.
I got the putt. The putt's gonna be on fire. So we'll
There
see.
you go.
I got two of my college wide receivers. One of them who caught my first college touchdown. He's with me. We've known each other for 22 years now. So we're gonna have some fun. So you guys have a great show. Don't burn it down. I trust you. And we'll talk to you guys on Monday.
Thanks, buddy. Have a great time,
Have
man.
a good one.
Bye bye.
Take care. What's the over/under on his handicap today? It's in the
He's
70s,
feeling it.
probably.
He's feeling
Probably
it.
in the 70s.
I'd say
Probably low 70s.
I'd say mid 70s.
Yeah,
Say
you can
mid-70s?
tell he's got an extra little spark. He's got a little flair. He's on temporary vacation. He's got some sun. He's down 11 pounds, which we'll get to in a second. He is feeling it. I feel like he's got a good move. Before we get going on kind of the rest of the flow, I want to kind of dial back a little bit and give Ryan obviously his time on those comments with Cam and Brady and stuff, but I also kind of wanted to jump in on a couple of these as well really quickly. So Cam Newton again re-signs with New England for 1 year. We did have a comment in here. How do we feel about him? I think Ryan answered that. We also have a question about Jared Goff with the Lions we can get to later. Cam for a year and then what? I think that's the big question. And Jonathan, you nailed it talking to Ryan. Like Jared Stidham, I mean, we're going into year 3 here. Do they believe in him? Do they not believe in him? We saw this with Jimmy Garoppolo. He never got a chance because Tom Brady was there. That makes more sense. But then obviously he gets shipped out, and there was talks quickly before Cam signed, at least in the media, Jimmy could come back from San Francisco to New England. So clearly, no matter who it is, Jimmy Garoppolo, Cam Newton, Brian Hoyer, Jared Stidham doesn't seem to be.
They wouldn't have re-signed Cam Newton.
Having confidence.
They wouldn't re-sign Cam Newton on a 1-year deal for $14 million if they had any confidence in Jared Stidham whatsoever.
No.
They just wouldn't. Why are you wasting the money against the cap? And if it was only for a year, it makes a lot of sense that they're looking at other options, right? All right, we know what happened this season. Honestly, I don't know how you want to I don't know how history is going to qualify this season. I don't know how sports is going to be qualified over the last 365 days because of coronavirus. In the NBA, they said the hardest season that they've ever played was in the bubble. This one's also grueling. I mean, college football was a really brutal season for the players. College basketball is just, the mental fortitude it takes to deal with all of the health and safety protocols, to get into a game mindset and to have it canceled the day of, to show up to a court, right? We're going to talk about some college basketball games here later that got canceled in the middle of the tournament. You're working towards something, getting to the tournament, and then you can't even get there because it's canceled in Corona, right? So there's a big mental aspect that COVID has taken, a mental toll that COVID has taken on the athletes and all the participants in sports over the last year. So this last season in football specifically, football was executed better than most sports. Let's just be real about it. Like they pulled it off, man, and gave us some hope in other
They
sports.
did not cancel one single game. We had the weird week around Thanksgiving where the Steelers and Ravens got pushed from Thursday to Saturday to Sunday to Tuesday to Wednesday, but they eventually did technically get the game in.
They still did it, right? So at the end of the day, like I think that football was as normal as it could have been. But to be honest with you, I still think that circumstances were extenuating. And because they were extenuating, I think it was, when you look back, it's like, okay, you know what? How much can we take away from this season that we can bring into next season? And how much should we just leave based on the circumstance? And I think that quarterback play is a big part of what we want to take with us, right? A lot of teams use it this year to develop, right? Justin Herbert to all the newer faces across the league. And Cam doesn't need development. We know what Cam is. He's a mediocre quarterback who peaked in 2016, right? And I think that the Patriots understand that their ceiling right now is probably a 500 team or just above 500 until they find that next piece, and they're content with that. up until the draft, and we'll see what they do in the draft. And then after, it'll give us a clearer picture of the future and what their plans are over the next 2 or 3 football seasons, I would say.
Now, it'll be interesting because Cam Newton obviously was a shell of himself last year, the last couple of years. Since you're right, he won the MVP in 2015-16. But I think the general heartbeat out of New England is that, yes, they were sub 500, obviously post Brady, and it hit the fan last year. And I think a lot of people saw that coming. However, Cam Newton joined the team in June in the middle of the pandemic, caught COVID himself, had to get through that. I don't think anybody would argue that he had no weapons around him. Julian Edelman goes down, Gronk leaves. I think the one thing that Cam Newton has coming into this second season, another year off of surgeries, so better health, which is good. Secondly, continuity with the team, the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator. Although the weapons aren't flashy, they are the same weapons as of right now. They don't have great draft capital. They do have a mid-first round pick that whatever. Bill Belichick doesn't have a great history of first-round draft picks.
He has a bad history of first round.
He does,
and I love N'Keal Harry. I want to say it. I said it on Sky's award-winning fantasy football podcast, people, that N'Keal Harry was going to pan out, and boy, did I look stupid.
He has not panned out at all.
But look,
Jacoby Myers is their weapon that they have.
And I would make an argument that I agree with you that N'Keal Harry hasn't panned out, but we saw 2 years ago with Devontae Parker. We saw last year with Corey Davis. Sometimes these guys need a change of environment, change of quarterback, change of system, where the third, fourth, and fifth year they have an option. So because I also live in the fantasy football world, I don't want to give up on N'Keal Harry just yet in dynasty leagues. However, he hasn't hit it just yet, obviously. Quick numbers on Cam Newton, then we'll move on. 24th last year in passing yards. 24th in passing yards. 35th in yards per game. Folks, remember, there's 32 starting quarterbacks per week. 34th with 8 passing touchdowns only, 10 interceptions, 5th most in the NFL. He did have the 3rd most rushing yards among quarterbacks behind only Kyler and Lamar, and he had the most rushing touchdowns among quarterbacks with 12, and that was actually behind only Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and Dalvin Cook, and the same amount as Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs. So Cam Newton's still able to do it on the ground, obviously very dominant in the first 2 games of the season. The question is, can he throw the ball? Can he be healthy? The continuity will be there for New England. We'll see if his physical health can hold up as well.
A lot of questions surrounding the future of the Patriots. Charlie, you got anything before we move on here?
Just kind of what you guys were saying. I just don't really get the signing, especially $14 million for a quarterback who really couldn't throw the ball. I get your points that you started off in June with them during the pandemic, not really being able to be with your teammates in practice. So having a whole another year of that definitely will be beneficial. I just didn't really understand the move.
You gotta make moves based on present day circumstance. We may not know what they're looking for, but I think that they built a dynasty before. I'm not going to say that they're going to do it again, but they have a direction.
I'll say this last point on the Patriots, and we'll move on. They do have a number of Pro Bowl caliber starters coming back to the defense that opted out. A number of guys opted out on the defense last year due to COVID. So they have a number of guys coming back who are, again, familiar with the continuity of that defense, Bill Belichick schemes and whatnot. So overall, the team should feel better in 2021 with Cam. Can Cam Newton carry them to the playoffs? And look, the Bills are for real, obviously. I think the Dolphins are very, very much improved and going to be good for a long time as well, very young. And look, the Jets are the Jets, but brand new head coach, brand new OC. We'll see what happens at quarterback. Their defense is getting better, good O-line. The Jets could be moving up in the next couple of years too. So the Patriots need to get it right, or they could go from the rare first to worst for a while if they can't get it right here in 2021.
You could go from worst to first and look like that. If you get Sunfair. This episode of the Ryan D. Leaf Show is brought to you by Sunfair. Guys, get Sunfair if you're in the greater Los Angeles or Phoenix, Scottsdale area. Ryan's lost 11.2 pounds in 4 days. In 4 days.
Crazy.
If I lost 11.2 pounds, what am I? I'm like 160. That would be bad. I can't lose that weight. So I need Sunfair to bulk up. Like the gyms are opening, the sun's getting weather. Like we're trying to put on that muscle, right? I'm going to get Sunfair for that. Ryan's on the fat burn. Whatever he burns, I'm trying to absorb. So that's the system that we're playing right now.
Little trade, you give and take, a little give and take.
He's losing it so I can get it. Make sure you go to sunfair.com. Once you get there, enter your information on the page. Select Carl Ferro, Ferro, as the sales representative, and select the Ryan D. Leaf Show in the How Did You Hear About Us drop down. Complete your sign up, and you'll get your first order, I believe 10% off, right, Charlie?
That is correct.
Charlie's the money man.
Our boy Carl's been hooking us up, so give him some love.
Yeah,
shouts out to Carl.
Yeah, shout out to Carl. Shout out to Sunfair. Big thanks to them for making all of this possible. Make sure to hit that rate, review, and subscribe all across the YouTube channel sphere, I guess. That one kind of escaped me. Let's move on. All right. Let's go to some pro days. A lot of questions surrounding some of the big names that you may have been hearing from this past college football season. Obviously, Trey Lance is currently playing at North Dakota State University. They have a spring football season going on. He's been dropping off dimes to his fellow Bison.
Only played one game last year.
Only played one game, and guess what? Some are saying that he's the best quarterback. Now, okay, I want to talk about this, and I wish Ryan was here. Maybe we'll talk about it on Monday, and we'll get to Travis Etienne, phenomenal running back for Clemson, here in a moment. Quarterback draft hot takes, okay? Everywhere you go, you are going to see people who go against the grain. This is not just for the NFL draft, though. This is for drafts in you see it in the NBA. You see it I'm sure you see it in the NHL. I don't pay attention to hockey like that. And also, this is the West Coast. The only college hockey team that we have is Arizona State. So we definitely don't pay attention to that. But you see it anytime draft day, MLB. You see it anytime draft days come closer. The experts, there's always a few experts that love to poke the bear, right? We all know that Trevor Lawrence is the best prospect in this draft. We all know that Justin Fields is probably the second best prospect in this draft. But guess what? You're going to see analysts all over the place. My favorite is Mike Farrell from Rivals.com, right? One of the most astute and well-respected voices and perspectives when it comes to high school recruits going to college. And he blasted that he has Zach Wilson from BYU. He's the best quarterback. He compared him to a combination of Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Like, thank you. Charlie's shaking his head. You should shake your head too, because until you actually see that, that's called clickbait. That is called being a hot take machine to try and get you to get angry and to interact. And to
how can you compare a quarterback prospect to the top two quarterbacks in the game right now?
Because they want to incite. It's to either incite or to try and get you on board, but you're going to look dumb. Because honestly, until I want to see, Ryan said on Wednesday, actions, right? Actions over words. I want to see Zach Wilson take NFL snaps before I make any assumptions about how he's going to be. I want to see Trey Lance take NFL. Are these guys good in college? Absolutely. Are they better than you and I thought when they started? Absolutely. But guess who they're not better? And guess who they don't look better than? The guys that are obviously better than they are, right? That's just the nature of this sport. So when I hear Trey Lance should be the top quarterback in the draft, or Zach Wilson should be try to see why, but don't go as far as to making these crazy hot take assumptions about it. There's no reason. And don't give in, people. Don't go scrolling on Twitter, seeing these takes, and deciding to click and read the comments. That's what they want you to do.
Stop trying to get the attention. Stop trying to get the attention. Everyone knows Lawrence is number one. After that, debate who you want. Just be smart about it.
Yep.
Now, that being said, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that Trevor Lawrence is the best prospect coming out of the draft. It may work out that way. We'll see what his career is, whatever. We had this hype with Andrew Luck as well, but we've had similar hype, not quite to the magnitude of Trevor Lawrence, because we've been following this kid since middle school. But every year, I mean, it was Baker Mayfield, it was, Sam Darnold, it was, then we turn it into, Kyler Murray, obviously. But you also have a very high talked about prospect in the last couple of years, Josh Rosen, who, frankly, if you're not paying attention, nobody remembers anymore. And I don't know that that's as much of an issue for Josh Rosen personally, or the situation in which he was drafted into, traded, let go. So he hasn't maybe had the opportunity. What I'm saying is, I agree that Trevor Lawrence is the top prospect. But the key word there is prospect. The prospect means, as of right now, with their college and what we've seen in college and high school and all their measurables heading into the NFL, that's one ranking. Then I guarantee you, once they get drafted, the rankings are going to change. Then once we see them play a couple spring training drills and things with their team, quarterback competitions heat up, they're going to change again. Then we see them play a couple preseason games, a couple of games for these guys getting a start right away. Everything's going to change so much in the next 6 months. Guys can go from 2 to 6 real fast in a class. And you have a guy like Davis Mills, who Ryan's been repping for the last week, who I haven't heard the big networks talking about yet, but they soon will get on board. I'm sure we hear Zach Wilson getting rep for the number 1. Trey Lance, after I think a great pro day today. I saw only 5 overthrows on 65 passes. Look, he's by himself. The receiver's by himself. There's no coverage. I get it. But nonetheless, good zip on the ball, strong, whatever. People are impressive when they're working out by themselves. It's all about what you do on the field and what the team is around you. And as you see so often, Joe Montana, late round draft pick, Tom Brady, the rest is history. The situation in which these guys land in, I would argue, outside of a talent like Trevor Lawrence, I would argue that 9 times out of 10, the landing spot is as or more important than the actual talent of the player, because a lot of draft prospects, especially first-round quarterback talent, are very talented. It's where they land, if they have competition, who their coaches are, who their coaches will be next year, who the weapons are around them, and if they get the opportunity. I watched a documentary that I recommend everybody on this topic, the Brady Six. It's about Tom Brady at Michigan and coming through the ranks, getting drafted late, and the rest is history. We know Tom Brady's story. Nobody pays attention to the other 6 guys that were drafted before Tom Brady and what actually happened in their careers, who had better ranks and better prospect grades than Tom Brady himself. So be careful with that when you're looking at the rest of these draft scores.
You know why Mel Kiper has the best job, guys? I say this every year. Mel Kiper has the best job because he gets paid $4 million to assume, right? He just gets to sit there and he gets to have his draft boards. And
no, he works. In his defense, he works very hard at his assumptions.
At assuming.
So I don't want to push it away, but I know what you mean.
Guess what? Mel Kiper's right like 12% of the time, man. Dude, like that's the thing. But that's the great thing. He gets paid. It's not about being wrong, because we expect it's only wrong if we sit there and we're like, oh, he's wrong. It's like, okay, yeah, Mel Kiper's wrong, but that's part of his job. The expectation is for him to be wrong. So he gets paid to be wrong, but he's supposed to be wrong, right?
Did you know that he said he would quit his job if Jimmy Clausen didn't pan out in the NFL? He was so confident. Jimmy Clausen's now the head coach at Alamany High School in Mission Hills, California. I called a few. They have one of the best high school football programs in the nation now because of Jimmy Clausen. So that wasn't his calling. Come on, Mel. Good for Clausen, but in terms of being a pro NFL quarterback, Kiper was wrong on it and missed. So again, he's getting paid millions to just assume, and it's on us if we want to listen to him or not.
Yeah, I mean, and Sky, you brought it up, right? Like Josh Rosen's a great example of sort of the.
There's so many more. He's been the most immediate, but there's many others.
Absolutely, Sam Darnold was another. I mean, honestly, Sam Darnold.
Deshaun Kaiser was a big one too.
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser, Notre Dame.
In the last couple of years, I mean, again, if you go back again, I know I don't want to dwell on the Brady Six, but you have Giovanni Carmazzi, right? Surgeon Wynn. I mean, T. Martin, like. Again, a lot of these guys getting drafted who at the time, again, coming into the NFL, all of what they did in college, their prospect, their measurables, they obviously were sought out after everybody, including the Patriots, for 6 rounds. And then eventually Belichick was like, all right, this kid's still around. We should give him a shot. He looks pretty good. Boom. Right? So just be careful with these draft prospects, man. I see it catch people every single season.
So let's tie a bow around this. Pay attention to who's getting drafted. Take a grain of salt with the experts and their hot takes. I think that's as far as this conversation really needs to go at this point, just because we're going to see. Don't worry. We don't need to assume. We don't need to sit there and surmise. This isn't astrology. Like we will have tangible evidence whether these guys suck or not in the next 8, 9, 10 months. So I guess for some guys, the development is longer, but that's the bulk of it.
Jonathan, last question here. We'll move on. Let's touch on Travis Etienne for 1 second.
Sure.
He had his pro day as well. Obviously, all these pro days are coming up in the next couple of days, the weekend, the next few weeks. all the way until April. So stay tuned. It's going to happen slowly but surely here. Travis Etienne, though, ran yesterday, ran a 4.4. Nice wheels for a running back, of course. Bulked up 15 pounds as a running back. That's pretty thick. And coming out of Clemson, he was already kind of that 1-2 with Najee Harris coming into the draft. Does this bolster his draft capital for you, seeing him come out of Clemson? And I mean, he's running well, and he's also, at about 215 right now. That's thick. That's good durability, moving well. I think it just increased. Some people get kind of worried about running backs gaining weight, but it's about gaining the right weight, and this is muscular.
Oh, it absolutely helps Travis Etienne's draft stock, right? Because in the NFL, unless you're Christian McCaffrey, right? Like Christian McCaffrey put on weight. If you look at his film at Stanford and his metrics, and you look at it, a year later in the NFL, 2 years later, like that guy bulked up. Why? Because if you want to have a consistent, unless you're Alvin Kamara or Austin Eckler,
different running backs though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to, like Travis Etienne wants to be Derrick Henry. And if you want to be Derrick Henry, not only are you there to utilize your tenacity and your strength as a runner, you got to protect your quarterback because they want you out there. They're running RPOs, right? They want to make sure that you are a viable option at the running back position to make a play. So to have that security to know, okay, in an RPO, my running back can also block for me. My running back can drop down in the flat as a potential, fourth option, third or fourth read for my quarterback. Or we can hand it off to him and he could find the A or B gap and get us 5, 6, 10 yards if we need to. All of that is a luxury. And to have all of those assets coming out of college only makes you more attractive to teams. So for Travis Etienne, his biggest question mark was, okay, he's a little bit small for the type of running back that he is. Well, guess what? He put on 15 pounds. 215 is a good weight. Probably another 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and he doesn't need to grow anymore. So yeah, he's already proven that he can do it. He's going to be given the resources to continue doing it, and he already has the talent to back up the physical attributes that he's currently developing. So this guy, I would be remiss to think that he isn't the best running back in this draft, to be completely honest.
And I think, Jonathan, you brought up a good point that I think it's overlooked by the common football fan. The reason guys like Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, Mark Ingram continue to sign contracts is not because they're Hall of Famers or borderline Hall of Famers necessarily on pedigree alone.
Is Mark Ingram
because
a Hall of Famer in your mind? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay.
But Adrian Peterson or Frank Gore are absolutely, in my opinion. What I'm saying is it's not the pedigree at this point because we know how ruthless the NFL is. And once you're done, you're done. The reason those guys continue to have jobs, though, and there's Mark Ingram, again, signed another 1 year, $3 million to go basically played side by side. He's not going to take the job from David Johnson, who's another guy getting long in the tooth in the NFL. The reason they have jobs, though, is A, they're good clubhouse guys. B, they protect the quarterback. And they can stand in there. They know the pass protections. They can keep the quarterbacks healthy. It's not that they run for 3.5 yards per carry. Anybody in the NFL can do that. It's that they have the mindset and the longevity and the mentality to block. And we saw that was an issue with Ronald Jones, right? Uber talented coming out of USC, but Bruce Arians was not having it. He missed a couple of blocks. Jameis got rocked. Tom Brady got rocked. He got benched immediately. And we're all scratching our head like, this kid's uber talented. What's the problem? Bruce is thinking, you need to keep our quarterback healthy, and you're not. That's an issue. So bulking up a little bit doesn't only help his burly running style for Travis Etienne, helps him between the tackles a little bit more, but it also helps him stay on the field on possibly early and third downs if he's able to pass protect in whatever scheme. Obviously, we don't know where he's going to land, but that's going to be something very important. So when you're gaining weight muscularly and it's a healthy gain, usually that's attractive to NFL scouts because now you're not only just a nice runner and pass receiver, you're a pass protector, which is just as or more important. You've heard Ryan talk about it multiple times over the last couple of days. The quarterbacks are the ones that we need to work our team around. We need to pay. We need to keep healthy. The running back can be a huge part of that.
All right, let's go to Athletic Brew, and then Charlie Moss is going to turn this into the Charlie Moss Show.
You got it. Yeah, I want to give a rep to Athletic Brew this time. So Ryan's held it down the last couple of weeks, but I too am a fan of Athletic Brew. I've got one right here for you. It is the Run Wild non-alcoholic. There we go. Let me get it in focus. Apologies there. Boom. Non-alcoholic, Run Wild, IPA, delicious beer. Here's the deal. Ryan mentions that he's a Coors Light guy, and that's fine.
I think he's a Bud Light guy.
A Bud Light guy,
Coors.
excuse me.
No, he said Coors.
I believe it's
I'm
Coors
pretty
Light.
sure
We're not going to
Charlie,
argue it.
No, I
said-
think I'm right. I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
No.
Well, we will have to fact check that.
I'm gonna throw the challenge. I'm gonna throw the challenge flag because I'm
All
betting.
right, you can go review the replay from the last
I'm gonna
shows
throw
and
the
see that
challenge
I'm right.
flag. I swear to God, Ryan. Every episode says I'm more of a Bud Light guy. Every
No,
episode.
Coors Light. Coors Light.
All right, I'll bet on myself.
Either way, no free shout
Like
outs.
the attitude.
Either way, no free shout outs. We're giving love to Athletic Brewing Company right now with the non-alcoholic IPA. So here's the deal. I've had my share of each of those brews as well in the past. However, at this point in my life, I also want to wake up fresh, but I enjoy a good beverage after a long day with my dinner. And the reality is sometimes I don't want all the extra side effects. I don't want to feel fuzzy. I want to be present with my family, with my work, with my job, and feel good in the morning and stay athletic with all the other things we have going on here, with the show, with softball coming up, with the other things I have going on, with my runs. So the non-alcoholic Athletic Brew Run Wild is my choice here with the IPA. Let me get that back in focus there for you. Boom. Ryan likes the softer brand. Totally enjoy that myself, but I live in the beautiful, bountiful Pacific Northwest up here in Oregon. There's a lot of microbrews, craft beers up in our area, so I enjoy a full, thick taste of an IPA. But the problem with some IPAs is that when you drink them, they kind of feel like a meal. They get a little too thick. Not this one. This one's nice and light. You get the great taste of an IPA, but you don't have the thickness. You don't have the after effects of normal beer. So I do like this one here. I've been putting them down like it's my job over the last couple of weeks. So
Rob, what are
the
you
Athletic
doing
Brewery.
out
I just
here,
wanna
man?
give a
Rob,
big
we
shout
were
out.
friends.
Nope,
We
Rob.
were friends,
Rob.
Rob.
Rob is the realest one out there because he knows I was right. So you know what? We don't have the bat today. We got the pillow, and I'm squashing.
Oh my
information,
goodness, Rob.
I'm planning to bet on myself, and I was right. Okay, that's it.
I want to put this out here really quick. Henry has a comment here. I don't know how I feel about non-alcoholic. So I get it, right? I mean, you think of alcohol, you think of beers, and a lot of people drink to kind of get the relaxation and, drink responsibly, obviously. However, not a lot of people do. And there's a lot of people, and we're familiar with folks on this show here, that are no longer drinking, whether in recovery or elsewhere, going the other direction. And I highly recommend that you do give it a shot before you knock it, like everything else, because the non-alcoholic doesn't mean it's soft. This is a legitimate full beer. I wouldn't be drinking this beer if I didn't think it was a full, legitimate complimentary beer. It certainly is. I'm all about Athletic Brewing myself, and I prefer the Run Wild IPA to the lager style. But
does Athletic
go ahead and grab
Brewing, does
yourself.
drinking an Athletic Brew beer also get you the beard that you have, Sky? Because I'm trying to grow a beard like yours, and I haven't tried the Athletic Brew method yet.
Yes, and actually, fun fact, it's actually like the IPA gives the density and the thickness
There you go.
of the beer. So it's really like the amount of beers that you drink is more like the length and longevity, right? I mean, it's kind of a long distance run, but the density and the thickness of the beer comes from the IPA brand. So I do recommend the IPA from Athletic Brew. Go check them out online and make sure you get the promo code and save yourself a little bit on some shippings. Your first 2 shippings coming out from Athletic Brew Co., big sponsors of the fans, and we shout out Athletic Brew Co. every single time. So shouts out. I'm sure Ryan's enjoying one on the green in Arizona as well. All right, boys.
I'd like to have a quick shout out to my buddy Henry Faversham, some of my good friends from home. We'll drink some Bud Light at home, but also some Athletic Brew.
No, you guys are only getting Athletic Brew from now on, Charlie.
Hey. We're gonna do both, all right? Drink responsibly.
Bud Light doesn't pay for the show to go.
That is true. This show is not sponsored by Bud Light, but
So I don't know why we're supporting them.
Only Athletic Brew, Henry, when we're back home.
Yeah,
okay?
that's what I thought. Charlie, I have you here on the big board because everybody's been begging us for the Charlie D. Moss show. Now, I figured that the best way to go about this and getting away with it is by talking a little bit of March Madness because it's been going, man, and you have a conflicting persona. At least it's conflicting for me because you go to Indiana University in Bloomington, right? You go to the IU, the house that Mark Cuban built. And yet I see you rocking Michigan gear and talking. You talked in a pre-production. We talk about Juwan Howard this and Michigan basketball that. And I don't understand it. I grew up a USC Trojan. I went to the University of Oregon. The moment I stepped on campus in Eugene, I was not a Trojan fan anymore. It was just that simple. When I got to the real world and I was hired to cover the Pac-12, okay, I can put my Oregon fandom off a little bit to find some middle of the road perspective. But for you, you're a college student. Enjoy the pain that being an IU fan brings you, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I listen. I love IU, love all IU athletics. I root for them. I support them. I was actually at the Big Ten tournament yesterday watching IU in my IU jersey. Okay, so let's not get ahead of ourselves that I'm not an IU fan, because I am. I'm one of the biggest ones out there. But at the same time, I do love my Wolverines. All right, I told you and Ryan this I think last week when you guys were talking to me about Michigan. You're like, why do you like Michigan? Like, you don't even go there. You know what I said? I did a Marvel reference. I said Asgard is not a place; it's a people. All right, and that's just me. I grew up in Michigan.
Asgard isn't a place because Kronos or whatever his name destroyed it.
His name's Thanos.
He literally Thanos. Thank you. Kronos is the Titan god from Greek mythology. Thanos literally destroyed it, so the people had to went to the diaspora, right? So it was a place.
Hey, it doesn't matter. I was raised a Michigan fan. I have family that have gone to Michigan, and although I'm at Indiana and I love my time at Indiana, Michigan is still my team, and they will be my team. And I've been rooting for them since I was a kid, and I will continue to root for them. And today, the Michigan Wolverines got a huge win versus Maryland. Juwan actually got ejected, but that didn't stop us. We're just going to the next round. We should probably be facing either Ohio State or Purdue. I got the game on over here.
So when Indiana and Michigan play each other, it doesn't matter the sport: football, basketball, softball. Man, that's a great matchup. You have on the Michigan jersey under the Indiana jersey, right? And when Michigan is beating Indiana, you take off the Indiana jersey, so that way you're happy no matter what. How does that work?
Well, it's just in case. You got to prepare for every scenario.
No, before I make it very clear who I'm rooting for before, and every time Michigan and Indiana play, it's Michigan. And if Michigan loses, hey, talk all
when you have a degree on your wall that says Indiana University, you're going to confuse the hell out of a lot of people, man.
I'm just saying. That's just what it is. I'm a Michigan fan.
All right.
There's no going back. It's just what it is. We are a special breed who are loyal and stay committed to our team.
The first part I agree with. Let's get to college basketball because a lot's going on here. This is an all-encompassing sports show. We are about a week and a cup and some change away from Selection Sunday, and thus will ensue March Madness. Let's inform our lovely audience here. Who is Charlie Moss? Well, who's on the Charlie Moss radar right now? As we hit the back end of these conference tournaments.
Yeah, so one of the teams I see being a threat in the tournament, the NCAA tournament, is Purdue. I really like their style. I think Jaden Ivey's been playing awesome to guard. And then they got Travion Williams, who's all Big Ten first team, been pounding in the paint for a couple years now. And their freshman, Zach Edey, 7'3". I don't know. This dude's just huge. But Purdue is playing some of their best basketball. Although they're down 8 right now to Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, I still like them to make it to at least the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. I will also say a sleeper pick for you guys, LSU. LSU can score the ball, all right? Their defense may not be up to par yet, but they have Cameron Thomas, a freshman who's averaging, I want to say 22, 23 points. Trendon Watford, averaging around 12 to 13 points. And then forgetting the name of this last guy, but I'm just saying they have the offensive talent and style to make a run in the tournament, and the tournament's all about guard play. So if Cameron Thomas and their two guard can get the lights going, expect them to make a run, and big teams should be scared to play them.
Who's going to, if anybody does, who's going to beat Gonzaga?
I think Gonzaga will lose. I do not see them winning at all. Again, you can't predict this stuff, but I could see like a West Virginia team or I
like that Bob Huggins versus Mark Few. That's a great.
I like the West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia lost yesterday too, but again, I think West Virginia is a very tough team, and you could definitely see them upsetting Gonzaga in like the 1 versus 4 round, because I think West Virginia is going to be a 4 seed.
It's surprising. It's surprising how often the number one overall seed, the team coming in the most dominant into the tournament, doesn't win the championship. I mean, they often get. I mean, we've seen some crazy upsets in early rounds, but especially when you get down to that Elite Eight, Final Four, really anything can happen, and it comes down to health and who's in the best shape, and a couple, the ball bounces one way or the other, and we see these guys go down quite a bit. So it's going to be and look, let's be honest. I mean, they got away with it, but Gonzaga just a couple nights ago had a serious scare against BYU.
I wouldn't call it serious. Like, yeah, they were down 12 or 15 in the first half, and yet the whole time I thought they were still going to win and even cover. I think the spread was 12, and being
they
down
did
12,
turn it on in smoke, but I'm just saying,
Corey
Kispert, it got a little hairy.
Corey Kispert made, I think, 3 threes to start the second half, and they were down by 2. So, I mean, this Gonzaga team's talented, but they haven't played a real tough team in a while, and that's no disrespect to BYU or any other team in their conference. It's just their conference is just weak. It's as simple as that. So getting used to that style of play could definitely throw you off when you're playing the big dogs in the tournament now.
Yeah, March Madness is it's heating up. We have a couple of interesting little factoids. So currently only no Power 5 schools. I guess there's like Power 6 because Big East is really good at basketball. So but we do have Liberty, Winthrop, Drexel, Cleveland State, Loyola Chicago. Which, by the way, come on, Drake. I had Drake winning the Missouri Valley Conference. They had a great regular season. Somehow Loyola Chicago pulls out their sister Gene Magic, and they go on to win the Missouri Valley Conference again. Mount St. Mary's out of the Northeast. The neck, as I like to say, in the Northeast Conference. Morehead State. That was a great game against Eastern Kentucky. Morehead State winning the Ohio Valley Conference Championship. I was up late watching that one a couple of days ago. UNC Greensboro. Oral Roberts. First time Oral Roberts is back in the tournament since 2008. In the Summit League, a win over, I believe it was North Dakota in the championship there. Appalachian State won the Sun Belt. Their first appearance is like 2000 or 2002 in the tournament. And Gonzaga, who I don't think anybody's being Gonzaga. That's where I disagree with you. I think that I like your ones to watch. I love LSU, man. I think LSU is definitely a team that has been slept on by people outside the country, outside of our friends down in Louisiana. But Gonzaga's continuity. Like, they have probably the number one pick in the draft on their team, and he didn't even win West Coast Conference Player of the Year.
No,
right?
Exactly. They have so many weapons. They have so many
their
weapons.
Continuity, they're well coached. This is finally of the year that Gonzaga and Mark Few get over the hump.
Let's see.
And they win the championship.
Let's see. We got about 5 minutes left in the show, so we'll make it quick. But viewers who are tuning in right now, why don't you throw in one or two of the teams to watch for you in the comments here. We'll see if we can rattle them off for the guys and see if they agree. So we got about 5 minutes left, but if you're watching live here, why don't you tune into the comments and give us a couple names to look out for?
Yeah, but we can sort of multitask here because we have not been, and so we're gonna move on. We're gonna comment your teams.
Ooh.
Oh, hold on. We got a question. We're gonna get to spring training baseball. Last 3 minutes, it's gonna be Sky in the big box, man. All right, we're gonna talk some spring training baseball. But great questions. Are the Nets candidates? The Nets are the favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
How are they not? How would they not be? Right?
Because the expectation around the Lakers. I think that public expectation. Rob Berger out of Go Zags, baby. Go Zags. I'm with you, Rob. We're back. We're back on good terms. I love Spokane, man. Whitman College. Sorry. So back to the Nets. Without Kevin Durant, no, they're not a contender. But if Kevin Durant's healthy, if the big three are healthy, and once they can work Blake Griffin into a system, whether he's coming off the bench as like the 2 or 3 option offensively, or he's starting as the 4th or 5th option offensively, where he can really spread the court and take the onus off of the star players when the defense is doubling, I don't see any team that can stop them. If the Lakers have Anthony Davis, there's a chance. I don't think the Bucks have the pieces or the depth, because everybody's like talking about the Nets' depth. Look at the teams that they're competing with, right? The Sixers don't have the depth. The Bucks don't have the depth. Like, insert Eastern Conference team here after those two teams, and they're not even contenders. So in the Eastern Conference, there's nobody that can contend with the New Jersey Nets. With the Brooklyn Nets. And in the Western Conference, it's just the Lakers. The Utah Jazz hype is real. I think they're really good. I think the continuity's there. Mike Conley's playing out of his mind. And the Clippers are a juggernaut, but they don't have the size down low to compete. And that's the thing. Now the Nets have size and they have a way to stretch the court. And they don't. I mean, Patrick Beverley, Kawhi Leonard are both great defensive pieces, but you need more than that to stop James Harden, Kyrie, and KD. And I don't.
This isn't just a normal Kyrie Irving, though. This is, I'd say, arguably Kyrie's best season of his career.
He's in the best.
He's going on a revenge tour too. Everyone's been doubting him and saying how bad of a teammate he is. And when he left earlier in the season, like when he was just gone, MIA for like 7 to 10 days, everyone's like, Stephen A. Smith said he should retire, but Kyrie's just going off on another level right now and playing out of his mind.
Absolutely. So I mean, Lakers fully healthy, potentially. But bar if in a perfect world, fully healthy teams, there's no team in the NBA that can beat the Nets in 7 games.
I agree.
Appreciate the question there, Alves Project. All right, 3 minutes left in the show. Sky, let's talk a little bit of baseball.
Yeah, all right. So we'll continue this over the next week and couple of weeks as we get going. But we haven't mentioned spring training. Football has been on high alert. Obviously, we have the NFL draft coming up. We got the prospects going to pro days that we've been talking about, and I just want to make sure we give a shout out to the spring training baseball. Now, Ryan's down in Arizona right now. Word on the street has it he's going to get some in-person cups down in the Cactus League in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we'll have to get the insider scoop on that next week. My Giants are down there as well, so it'll be a fun league to keep track of. But really, I want to just kind of discuss 2 things. First of all, the importance or lack thereof of spring training, baseball, preseason football, preseason basketball. These are scrimmage leagues at this point. Look, 10, 15, 20 years ago, preseasons mattered. You had veterans coming to play. You had guys rehabilitating injuries who would get significant time in, making sure their body was up to speed. You have rookies and minor league prospects in baseball. You have these guys coming in playing significant reps on purpose to get ready for the season. Nowadays, it's unusual to see guys going out there playing full games. First of all, they usually play about 5 to 7 innings. Most of these games end up in a tie because they don't actually go to extra innings in spring training. Mike Trout hit his first home run in spring training and might be one of his few couple hacks he has over the next couple of weeks just to knock off the rust. The Yankees have been hitting home runs out of the park back-to-back a few times, but again, making sure that they just kind of dust off these pitchers, get people healthy, because obviously the biggest thing you cannot risk with the preseason is getting unforced injuries with these guys trying to go all out. And what happens is younger players are trying to impress the coaches, trying to earn a spot, go a little extra hard in a scrimmage game and get injured, or veterans come back too early from an injury that they're rehabbing and potentially get injured themselves. So very quickly, I just wanted to kind of just mention spring training baseball. It is underway. We're going to talk much more about baseball as we come up in the next couple of weeks, but we are out of time today, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you stopping by the RDL show. Jonathan, my man, well done, stepping in the big seat for the boss man. Ryan will be back with us next week. Charlie, well done, holding it down on the NCAA basketball. Make sure to follow us and subscribe to the channel wherever you can find the RDL show, aka Ryan D. Leaf. We'll see you on Monday.